You've watched a video like this before. Someone tells you the secret is doing 20% of the work for 80% of the results. Master the basics, skip the rest. Get ahead fast. It sounds like a hack. It's actually a 130-year-old accident. In 1896, an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto was standing in his garden, staring at pea pods. He counted them. 20% of the pods held 80% of the peas. Then he looked at his country's land records. 20% of Italians owned 80% of the land. He wrote a paper. He didn't call it a life hack. He called it a distribution of wealth. For 40 years, almost nobody noticed. Then, in the 1940s, an engineer named Joseph Juran found Pareto's paper while studying factory defects. He renamed it The Vital Few and the Trivial Many. Juran used it to fix assembly lines. Find the 20% of causes behind 80% of the broken parts. Fix those. Ignore the rest. It worked in factories. Then somebody asked a different question. What if it worked on people? In 1997, a consultant named Richard Koch published a book called The 80-20 Principle. He took Pareto's math from garden peas and factory floors and pointed it at your life. Your job, your diet, your relationships, your brain. The book sold over 1 million copies. And somewhere in the last decade, it landed on YouTube. Now every skill gets the same treatment. Cooking, coding, chess, a new language. Learn the 20%. Skip the rest. Get 80% of the result in a fraction of the time. It's the video you just watched, or the one right before it. Here's the part nobody puts in the thumbnail. Pareto never said which 20%. He never said the split was safe to keep making forever. Juran's factory workers weren't skipping the trivial many. They were finding the vital few, fixing them, and then moving to the next 20% underneath. The rule was never learn less. It was learn in the right order. But that version doesn't fit in a 9-minute video. Somewhere along the way, the meaning quietly flipped. Learn in order became learn a little and stop. And that flip is worth a lot of money. A psychologist named Robert Bjork at UCLA has a name for what happens when you stop at the easy 20%. He calls it the illusion of competence. You recognize the material. Recognition feels like mastery. It isn't. Bjork's research shows that the easiest 20% to learn is also the fastest to forget because your brain never had to struggle to keep it. The struggle is the part that builds the memory. Skip the struggle, and you skip the memory. Here's the loop you're actually in. A platform shows you the easy 20% of a skill. You feel smart. You feel fast. You share the video. The algorithm sees the watch time and the share, and shows the same shortcut to somebody else. Nobody in that loop is optimizing for you knowing how to cook, or code, or speak French. They're optimizing for you finishing the video and starting the next one. Mastery takes months. A dopamine hit from feeling smart takes 90 seconds. Only one of those keeps you on the platform. The 80-20 rule didn't get simpler by accident. It got simpler because simple performs better in a system built to hold your attention, not build your ability. Juran spent decades finding the vital few, fixing them, then hunting the next layer down. That's slow. That's not a 9-minute video. What you're fed instead is the first layer, presented like the whole staircase, which means the gap you've probably felt, the one where you've watched 40 videos on a skill and still can't really do it. Isn't you failing to learn? It's the 20%, harvested and repackaged, sold to you as the entire mountain. The real 80-20 rule was never about doing less. It was about doing the right 20%, then finding the next 20 underneath it, over and over, until there's nothing left to find. That part just doesn't get you to click.